Hey y'all, I'm Kara Perez, founder of Bravely Go, and today is the day it's time for us to stop being our own worst enemies when it comes to managing our money. I know there's a lot of emotions caught up in our money. Things like pride, joy, fear, embarrassment, shame. They all get mixed up in how we think about money. And sometimes these emotions can cause us to struggle with being consistent with our money management. Day to day or month to month, we can get off track with our financial plan because of how we're feeling about ourselves or how we're feeling about our money. And ultimately, y'all, that means the call is coming from inside the house. So today, we're going to talk about how to stop sabotaging your budget. And one way we can all stop sabotaging our money and our budget is by filing our taxes on time and easily. Raise your hand if you've ever waited to file your taxes until the very last minute, or perhaps even paid a late fee for filing your taxes after the deadline. It's me. Free Tax USA is a tax software that is always free to use to file your federal tax returns. Yes, even for self-employed folks. And it's only $14.99 to file your state taxes. This includes customer support, tax extensions, and all major tax situations. It's even free to import the prior year tax filing information, so you don't have to manually type in all that info. Thank you to Free Tax USA for sponsoring this video and for making filing taxes a little bit easier and way cheaper for all of us. The number one way to stop sabotaging your budget is to have a weekly money date. What gets measured gets changed. I mean, tattoo that on my body. Meaning, what you pay attention to is what will grow and develop in your life. If you do 100 squats every single day, your booty and your thighs are going to change. And if you track your spending weekly, you'll begin to see your financial habits, patterns, and problem areas. Let me tell you about my Twix problem. It wasn't an addiction, but it was a problem, you know? When I was around 25, I was broke as hell and more than a little bit depressed. I was making less than $20K a year. I had student loans, and I was only working very part-time as a caterer and a lacrosse coach. I had no money, no life direction, and honestly, I felt like garbage a lot of the time. I did live within walking distance of an H-E-B, which is a grocery store here in Texas that I freaking love. And because I was working so part-time, I started walking over there and just kind of wandering around as a way to pass the time. I love grocery stores. They're very comforting for me. And on the way out of the store one time, I noticed that Twix were 72 cents. And I thought, hey, that's in my budget. And I bought the Twix. Well, I was doing this grocery store meandering about 3 or 4 times a week, and I started buying a Twix for the walk home every single time. At less than $1 a pop, I was like, this is nothing. It's basically free. Life is meaningless. Please let me enjoy this chocolate. But then, about 3 months after I had developed this habit, I started getting really serious about my finances and my debt payoff. I got serious about learning how to budget, and I did my first spending audit. So I sat down and I went over my spending for the last couple of months, and I noticed that these charges from H-E-B for 72 cents kept popping up over and over again, totaling $50. That's right. In 3 months, in a year where I made $16,360 after taxes, I spent $50 on Twix. Now, look, $50 is not a huge amount of money in like the big picture of life, but for my broke ass at the time, it was a relatively large amount of money. It's also kind of a disgusting amount of Twix to be eating in 3 months, but like that's neither here nor there for the time being. And I didn't know that I was spending so much because at the time I wasn't doing regular money check-ins. Crunching the numbers was a really big wake-up call for me and helped me see how small purchases can really add up over time. So don't be like my 25-year-old self. Know what you're spending week to week by doing a weekly financial check-in. Knowledge is power, and power is knowing when you're eating too many damn Twix. Tip number 2, use tools to do the heavy lifting of your budgeting. This tip is especially good for my ADHD folks who get distracted easily when it comes to doing budgeting and financial tracking. Let the robots keep their eyes on the prize while you hop from interest to interest. Living in the digital age can be a huge help for folks in terms of sticking to their budget. You can program a spreadsheet to do calculations for you, or you can use a budgeting app to automatically pull information from your debit and credit cards and let the app categorize it for you. All of this means less work on your behalf. Letting the robots do the work is the best tip that I have if you really struggle with that weekly check-in portion of budgeting. If finding the time in your schedule to sit down and add up your weekly spending is too challenging, let the algorithms do that work for you. Now, all you have to do is log in, take a glance at each category, make sure everything's adding up correctly, and see how much money you have left for the next week. Easy peasy. Tip number 3, build support networks. We love financial community in this corner of the internet. So often, so many of us feel like we need to change our financial lives alone. We don't want to talk about our challenges or even our celebrations with our family because we're afraid that they will judge us or that we won't measure up to their way of doing things. I really want to encourage you to throw that mindset straight into the garbage and to start building financial community. That could look like a lot of things. Maybe you ask 2 or 3 of your friends to join you at a financial workshop. We at Bravely host a lot of them. You can check us out on Eventbrite. Or maybe you want to create a financial accountability group with your friends or family where at the top of each month you sit down and share what your goals are and what you're doing to reach them. And then at the end of the month, you can share if you reached them or not and what help you might need from these people in order to get what you want. These kinds of relationships can strengthen your bond to each other and can also make your relationship with money better. We in the personal finance space talk a lot about destigmatizing money, and well, building financial networks is a really big part of that. And you know that I absolutely love a money tip rooted in community wins. When you have this support network, everyone in the network has a chance to win. Tip number 4, set realistic timelines for goals. Listen, it is prime set huge goals season. And while I am a huge fan of setting big goals, I also think it's really important to have a realistic timeline for these goals. Saying you're gonna earn an additional $50K in income by the end of the month when you don't already have a pre-existing side hustle is probably a pretty unrealistic goal. It's too far to go in too short a time for most people, and it's most likely for you to end up feeling unmotivated and defeated. Instead, we want to set goals with a realistic time frame that give us both the motivation to work on the goals and the space that we need to find the knowledge, tools, and help that we're going to need to reach the goal. Let's use weight loss as an example. If all you do is say, I want to lose 20 pounds, we don't really have a roadmap to how to get there. But if you say, I want to lose 20 pounds this year, I'll start by walking 10K steps every single day this month. Now you're on the path to your ultimate goal, and you have a realistic goal to start with today. We start with these baby steps and we keep going until we hit the end goal. Then you can build on top of this. The next month you can say something like, I'm going to eat less sugar. Combine that with also walking the 10K steps, and by the end of the year, it's much more likely you will have hit that ultimate lose 20 pounds goal. Tip number 5, organize your bank accounts. Organizing your bank accounts is crucial to stop sabotaging your budget. Disorganization leads to confusion, and confusion leads to avoidance. Avoidance is bad news bears to us because what gets avoided gets left to die alone in the darkness, and that's not what we want for your budgeting. Organization leads to clarity, and clarity leads to achieving your financial goals. An easy way to organize your bank accounts is to open separate savings accounts for separate goals and to give each one a nickname. So, of course, you've got your emergency fund. That's for those like, oh snap moments in life, like a random ambulance ride or an unexpected flat tire you have to pay for. Then you're going to want a separate account that has your travel savings. And you can nickname this account something like Thailand bucket list trip, and so on and so forth. You can do this with as many savings accounts as you need. This separation helps ensure you don't accidentally spend your emergency fund on that ticket to Thailand, and it can also be motivating to see that number rise in each account over time. Tell me in the comments how you've overcome your own habits to stop sabotaging your budget. We can always learn from each other. And if you liked this video and want to see more of them, go ahead and give us that thumbs up and make sure to hit subscribe.